The boss called me into his office with a smug smile. "Congratulations, Emma, your hard work paid off. I'm promoting Jessica instead of you, she's more of a team player." I nodded calmly and handed him my resignation letter. "Thank you for the opportunity." He had no idea what was waiting for him inside that envelope. The outcome was, "More of a team player," I repeated, my voice steady despite the anger bubbling beneath the surface. My boss, Marcus, leaned back in his leather chair, that insufferable smile still plastered across his face. "Look, Emma, you're great at what you do, nobody's denying that, but Jessica, she knows how to work with people, she brings energy to the office. You're just too focused on results." Too focused on results. The words echoed in my head as I sat there gripping the armrests of my chair. 5 years I'd given to this company, 5 years of early mornings, late nights, and sacrificed weekends. I single-handedly landed our biggest clients, streamlined our operations, and increased our department's efficiency by 40%, and now I was being passed over for a promotion because I was too focused on results. My name is Emma Chin, and at 32, I learned the hard way that corporate success isn't always about merit. Sometimes it's about playing the game, about knowing whose ego to stroke and whose coffee to fetch. Jessica was certainly good at that. She'd been with the company for barely 2 years, but she already mastered the art of taking credit for other people's work, while doing virtually none of her own. I watched as Marcus shuffled some papers on his desk, probably expecting me to break down or protest, but I didn't. Instead, I reached into my bag and pulled out a crisp white envelope. "I understand," I said, placing the envelope on his desk, "and I appreciate you letting me know. Here's my resignation letter. My last day will be in 2 weeks. Marcus's smug smile faltered. This clearly wasn't the reaction he'd expected. "Now, Emma, let's not be hasty just because you didn't get the promotion." "It's not hasty," I cut him off, my voice calm but firm. "I've given it a lot of thought, and you're right, I am focused on results. That's why I've decided to pursue other opportunities where that quality is valued." What Marcus didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I hadn't just been working on company projects these past 5 years. In my spare time, I'd been building something of my own, something that would make Marcus's promotion look like the joke it was. As I walked out of his office, I could feel the eyes of my coworkers on me. News traveled fast in our department, and Jessica was probably already planning how to redecorate my cubicle. I kept my head high as I made my way back to my desk, remembering the other piece of paper tucked inside that resignation letter, the one that would make Marcus realize exactly what he was losing. The next 2 weeks were exactly what you'd expect. Jessica pranced around the office like she owned the place, making a show of learning the ropes of her new position. She'd stop by my desk occasionally, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Emma, I hope there are no hard feelings," she said one morning, perching on the edge of my desk. "I know you worked really hard for this promotion." I looked up from my computer where I was methodically downloading copies of all my work files. Not to steal them, I had too much integrity for that, but to ensure I had documentation of everything I contributed to the company. "No hard feelings at all, Jessica. I'm sure you'll do great." She smiled, probably thinking I was admitting defeat. She had no idea the truth was for the past 3 years, I've been secretly developing a revolutionary project management system. It had started as a way to keep track of my own work, but it had evolved into something much more powerful. I tested it, refined it, and used it to achieve those results that Marcus found so troublesome. And now, with my resignation letter, I'd included a detailed report showing exactly how much money and time my system had saved the company. The kicker? I also included a notice that I'd filed for a patent on the system 6 months ago. It had been approved last week, but that wasn't even the best part. A week into my notice period, I received an email from Robert Chen, no relation, the CEO of our biggest competitor. He'd heard through the grapevine that I was leaving, and wanted to meet for coffee. I smiled when I saw his name in my inbox. Everything was falling into place exactly as I planned. The meeting with Robert was everything I'd hoped for. He'd been following my work for months, impressed by how I transformed our client relationships and streamlined our processes. He didn't just offer me a job, he offered me a partnership role, complete with creative control over my system's implementation, across their entire organization. "We've been looking for someone like you, Emma," he said, sliding a contract across the table. "Someone who understands that results matter. The salary is triple what you're making now, plus equity in the company." I took the contract, my hands steady despite my racing heart. This was what recognition felt like. This was what it felt like to be valued. The day I handed in my security badge, Marcus called me into his office one last time. The smug smile was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like panic. My boss called me into his office with a smug smile. "Congratulations, Emma, your hard work paid off. I'm promoting Jessica instead of you, she's more of a team player." I nodded calmly and handed him my resignation letter. "Thank you for the opportunity." He had no idea what was waiting for him inside that envelope. The outcome was, "Emma, we need to talk about this report you included with your resignation letter," he said, holding up the papers with shaking hands. "Why didn't you tell us about this system before?" I sat down, smoothing my skirt as I did. "I tried, Marcus. 3 times in the past year, I requested meetings to discuss implementing new efficiency measures. You said we needed to focus on team dynamics instead." His face paled as he flipped through the pages. But this is revolutionary, the potential savings alone. And you've already patented it?" I nodded, enjoying the way his voice cracked. "I have, and I've accepted a position with Chen Industries. They're very excited about implementing the system company-wide. Marcus slumped in his chair, the full weight of his mistake finally hitting him. Chen Industries, our biggest competitor. Emma, you can't. What about loyalty to the company? Loyalty. I couldn't help but laugh. Like the loyalty you showed me when you promoted Jessica? Like the loyalty you showed when you dismissed every suggestion I made, because I wasn't enough of a team player? I stood up, straightening my jacket. You know what the funny thing is, Marcus? If you look past your biases, if you actually paid attention to the results I was achieving, instead of focusing on who brought you coffee, or laughed at your jokes, none of this would be happening. But you didn't, and now Chen Industries is going to have an advantage that you can't match. We'll match any offer they made, he said quickly, desperation creeping into his voice. We'll promote you to senior director, just don't go to Chen. I shook my head, almost pitying him. It's not about the money or the title, Marcus, it's about respect. It's about recognizing value, and you've made it very clear where you stand on that. As I walked out of his office for the last time, I heard him frantically dialing his phone, probably calling the executive team to figure out damage control, but it was too late. The patent was mine, the new job was signed, and Jessica, well, Jessica would soon learn that taking credit for other people's work only gets you so far. You have to actually deliver results. That evening, as I packed up my desk, I found a post-it note stuck to my monitor. It was from Jessica, written in her flowing script. Sorry to see you go. Keep in touch. I smiled as I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash. Oh, she'd be hearing about me all right. The whole industry would be. My first day at Chen Industries felt like stepping into a different world. Instead of a cramped cubicle, I had a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows. My name was etched on a sleek glass nameplate, Emma Chen, Director of Operations and Strategic Innovation. But the real difference wasn't in the office or the title. It was in how people treated me. Robert Chen, the CEO, had called an all-hands meeting to introduce me. Standing at the front of the conference room, he didn't just announce my position. He outlined my achievements, explained the value of my management system, and made it clear that I would have full authority to implement changes across the organization. Emma isn't just joining our team, he said, his voice carrying across the packed room. She's bringing with her a revolutionary approach to project management that will transform how we operate. I expect everyone to give her their full cooperation. The contrast to my old company couldn't have been more stark. There, I'd been the quiet workhorse, the one who got things done but was never acknowledged. Here, I was being celebrated for exactly what Marcus had dismissed, my focus on results, but the real satisfaction came 3 months later. I was in the middle of a team meeting when my phone buzzed with a text from my old colleague, David. You might want to check the industry news. Something big just dropped about Meridian Corp, my old company? I excused myself from the meeting and hurried back to my office, pulling up the industry news site on my computer. The headline made me catch my breath. Meridian Corp down 30% following disastrous quarter. The article detailed how Meridian had lost 3 major clients in the past quarter, with several others threatening to follow. Project delays had skyrocketed, costs had spiraled out of control, and efficiency metrics had dropped to all-time lows. The company's stock was in freefall. As I scrolled through the article, one quote caught my eye. It was from Thomas Reynolds, one of our biggest former clients. The quality of service at Meridian has deteriorated significantly in recent months. Projects that used to be completed smoothly are now constantly delayed. It's like they completely lost their organizational structure. I couldn't help but smile. Those smooth-running projects? They'd all been managed through my system. The organizational structure they lost, that was the framework I built over 5 years, the one Marcus had never bothered to understand. My phone buzzed again, another text from David. Jessica's having a complete meltdown. She can't handle the workload, and Marcus is starting to realize she has no idea what she's doing. I set my phone down, thinking about the irony of it all. Jessica, who'd spent 2 years taking credit for other people's work, was finally being forced to produce results on her own. And Marcus, who'd chosen style over substance, was watching his department crumble. But I had bigger things to focus on. At Chen Industries, my system was already showing remarkable results. Project completion times had been cut in half, client satisfaction scores were at record highs, and our efficiency metrics were off the charts. Robert had already approved my proposal to expand the system company-wide. And we were in talks with several major clients who wanted to license the technology. One morning, about 6 months after I'd left Meridian, I walked into my office to find Robert waiting for me. Update. My boss called me into his office with a smug smile. Congratulations, Emma, your hard work paid off. I'm promoting Jessica instead of you. She's more of a team player. I nodded calmly and handed him my resignation letter. Thank you for the opportunity. He had no idea what was waiting for him inside that envelope. The outcome was, one morning, about 6 months after I'd left Meridian, I walked into my office to find Robert waiting for me, a newspaper in his hands. Have you seen this? He asked, holding it up. The headline, Meridian QRPCO STPSG on a continuing crisis. I nodded, taking a paper from him. I saw the announcement. Word is they are completely restructuring the company, Robert said, watching my reaction carefully. The board finally realized how badly they'd mismanaged their talent. Apparently, they tried to recreate your system, but without the underlying architecture, it wouldn't work. I finished for him, The system isn't just about the software or the processes, it's about understanding how all the pieces fit together. Robert smiled, the kind of smile that said he knew exactly what he had in me, which is why we're announcing your promotion to Executive Vice President next week. The board voted unanimously. They've seen what you've done here in just 6 months and they want more. I felt a warmth spread through my chest. This was what recognition felt like. This was what it meant to be valued for your actual contributions, not just your ability to play office politics. Later that day, I received an unexpected email. It was from Marcus. Emma, I hope this finds you well. I'm sure you've heard about the changes at Meridian. I wanted to reach out and acknowledge that I made a massive mistake in not recognizing your value to the company. The system you built was the backbone of our success, and we didn't realize it until it was gone. I'm no longer with Meridian. The board asked for my resignation last week. Before I left, I made sure they knew that this could have been avoided if we had listened to you. Jessica resigned a month ago. Turns out managing actual projects is a lot harder than taking credit for other people's work. I know it's too late to fix things, but I wanted you to know that you were right. Results do matter. I just wish I'd seen that sooner. Best regards, Marcus. I read the email twice, letting the words sink in. There was a time when this kind of acknowledgement would have meant everything to me. Now, sitting in my executive office at Chin Industries, preparing for another board meeting, where my ideas would be heard and valued, it felt like a footnote in a story that had already moved on. I clicked reply and typed a simple response. Marcus, thank you for your email. You're right, results do matter. I hope you find success in your future endeavors. Best, Emma. As I hit send, I glanced at the framed patent certificate hanging on my wall, the one for my management system. Below it was a fresh plaque commemorating our record-breaking quarter, and beside that a news article featuring me as one of the industry's rising stars. I thought about how far I'd come from that day in Marcus's office when he told me I was too focused on results. That criticism had turned out to be the greatest compliment he could have given me, because here in my new role with my new team, those results were changing the industry. The next morning, I called a team meeting. As I looked around the conference room at the eager faces, people who respected me, who valued my input, who were excited to learn from me, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Today, I began, we're going to talk about our next big project, but first I want to share a story about the importance of recognizing value, not just in systems or processes but in people. As I spoke, I could see understanding dawn in their eyes. They got it. They understood that success isn't just about playing the game or being a team player. It's about creating real value, and having the courage to stand by your convictions. Sometimes I realized, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about moving forward, about building something better than what you left behind. Marcus, Jessica, and Meridian Corp had taught me that valuable lesson even if they hadn't meant to. As I drove home that evening, I passed by the Meridian Corp building. The logo that once seemed so imposing now looked tired and dated. A lease sign hung in one of the windows. They were downsizing, another casualty of their poor management decisions, but I didn't feel any triumph at their downfall. Instead, I felt grateful that they had underestimated me, grateful that they had pushed me away, grateful that they had forced me to prove my worth, not just to them, but to myself, because sometimes the biggest opportunities come disguised as rejection. Sometimes being too focused on results is exactly what you need to be, and sometimes the best response to someone undervaluing you is to show them exactly what they've missed out on. My phone buzzed, another text from David. Meridian's board is asking about you. They want to know if you'd consider coming back as CEO. I smiled as I typed my response. Thanks, but I'm exactly where I need to be. And I was, because success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about standing firm in your convictions, even when others doubt you. It's about knowing your worth and not settling for less. As I pulled into my driveway, I thought about all the other EMs out there, talented people being overlooked because they were too focused on results. Maybe my story would inspire them to stand their ground, to believe in their value, to create their own opportunities, because after all, sometimes the best way to handle rejection is to turn it into rocket fuel, to use it as motivation to build something better, something stronger, something that makes them realize exactly what they lost. And as I sat down at my home office to review the latest proposals for expanding our system globally, I couldn't help but smile, because in the end, Marcus had been right about one thing. I was too focused on results, and that focus had taken me exactly where I needed to be.